Yo, what is poppin', people? I hope y'all had a very, very, very Merry Christmas and everybody either got what you want or got what you thought you wasn't gonna get. And I hope you didn't get no coal in your stocking. I hope you all enjoyed yourself over this wonderful holiday week. Hope you got to spend some time with your loved ones and the people that you love and care about. And if you didn't, I hope you gave them a call, shot them a FaceTime, even a text. Just long as you let the people that you love know that you love them. Hey, don't get no better than that. But y'all know what we finna do. We finna get busy. You know what I'm talking about? So let's get this thing started. And you know we cannot start without giving a shout out to you, the viewer, for taking the time out to watch this video. But while you're here, do yourself a solid, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that little star at the bottom and hype your boy up. And you know we cannot do a video without giving a very Merry Christmas and a big, gigantic shout out to the CU aunties. Because without the CU aunties, these people in Cleveland, they don't feel the love. But we love it. All the CU aunties that come through and support, make sure you show them some love. Big shout out to the CU aunties. Shedeursanders is starting to change the minds of all the local media and even one Hall of Famer when it comes to the question of should Shedeursanders be the starter for the 2026 season or should they draft the quarterback? That question is still up in flux. We got 2 more games to go, but we finna find out. There you go. Now, coming off of a great game against the Buffalo Bills, even in that loss, that 20-23 loss that Cleveland took to the Buffalo Bills, Shedeursanders still left his mark on that game, on that franchise, on that fan base, and even on the Cleveland media. You know, from the start of this, there's been doubt about Shedeursanders. There's been doubt. It's been talk that he couldn't run the ball. He wasn't an athletic quarterback. And then he's shown over time that I can do that. They said he couldn't read defenses, and he's shown that he could do that. They said that only thing he wanted to throw was the deep ball. And he showed I can be more than that. But the simple question is, the draft is coming up. The end of the season is upon us. There is no playoffs for the Cleveland Browns. But can the Cleveland Browns, or will the Cleveland Browns have Shedeur as their starter going forward into the 2026 season? Or will they have a higher draft pick and pick a new quarterback? Will they move up in the draft? Will they go back in the draft and get more draft picks? But the Cleveland media thinks that Shedeursanders should remain a Cleveland Brown and be the focal point of next year. Darryl Ryder, ladies and gentlemen.
He's far from a polished product, but he has my curiosity. And I would like to see more of him. But, and this is the Brownsiest thing ever, if they draft the quarterback in the first 2, with their first pick, right?
Yep.
Probably number 2 overall. Shedeur's future here's over. And you're probably going to have to trade him, assuming you can find someone that'll take him. Because, I don't know if Shedeur would be willing to be a backup quarterback. But he has handled everything this year well. He was the 4th quarterback, right? And there was some conversation about, him being a little frustrated by that early in the season, which that's just human nature and completely understandable. And especially after you're sitting there watching what Dylan Gabriel was doing as the starter, right? You're sitting there saying, man, I could do that. But and should, in my view, I know the numbers are very similar between these two players, between Shedeur and between Dylan Gabriel. But to me, I think Shedeur has played better, right?
I agree.
The completion percentages are very similar. Actually, Dylan Gabriel has a higher completion percentage, 59.5 to 55.1 for Shedeur, 7-2. Gabriel's touchdown interception ratios, leaps and bounds better, but their TD percentage is almost identical. Their like the other metrics are better. But like Gabriel just doesn't feel like he gives you the same big play potential that Shedeur does, which you need in the National Football League these days. So the numbers actually skew a little in Gabriel's favor, but I just think that Shedeur really needs to come out these last two games and just really light it up, because my gut tells me they're going to want to draft a quarterback with that number 2 pick, assuming that's what they end up with, because they're going to have 3 of the top 33, which would then allow them to use whatever Jacksonville's pick is, along with the first pick in the second round, on players to support that new young quarterback. I would love 3 players to support Shedeursanders, but again, when you have the number 2 pick in the draft, which is where the Browns are projected to be picking, that's really hard to pass up there.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard them. They want 3 new players to support Shedeursanders in the upcoming season, because the Browns have their first round pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars first round pick, and they have the second pick in the second round, or the first pick, depending on how they trade out. But either way it goes, in the first 33 picks, the Cleveland Browns could get 3 new players. The question is, do you get 3, or do you draft a new quarterback and then try to build from there? But the dilemma is that if you don't have the first or the second pick, then what? Do you trade those draft picks that you have just to get that new quarterback to run back and do the same thing without adding an offensive tackle, new guard, a wide receiver, and you run back with the same people? Because you have to know that as of the end of the season, the Cleveland Browns will have no offensive linemen, veterans, signed to their team, except for 2, Wyatt Teller and somebody else. So that means you have to get a whole new entire offensive line, which is crazy. So the question remains, what would you do? How would you fix this problem? Do you draft Shedeur? Do you draft a new quarterback? Or do you ride it out with Shedeur next year and see what you have coming up? I would ride it out with Shedeur. He's shown enough. And coming up in this Pittsburgh game, he will do it once again. But you have to, as a team, determine what you have right there on the spot. But like I said, the local reporters have already determined that they would ride it out with Shedeur. Shedeur is enough. And hey, I'm with them on that. I believe Shedeur is enough to do what they need to do. But let's hear from John Greco on the Ken Carman and Anthony Lima Show on 92.3 The Fan.
And I'm going to maintain that opinion. And there's a reason why. I've been saying it the past several weeks on your show that I don't think that. I've seen enough to where I think that they can put some pieces around him and he can be successful. And I think the Browns can win some games. Not some games, be competitive in this division. So, yeah, I think I have seen enough. I liked what he did with his legs against Buffalo, which, that wasn't really – I'm not saying he never ran in college, but he wasn't really known for that. And I liked seeing that as an extra weapon. And that's what makes Josh Allen so dangerous. And I'm not comparing the two guys, but if he can add that element to his game and continue to develop in the pocket as a pocket passer and learn the game and get the right people around him, I do think he can be successful. So, yeah, I do think so. And I don't want to – I just don't know if I'm ready to leverage the house and taking a flyer on a young quarterback without the right pieces around him. I just think that, teams have done that time in and time out, and I don't think it's sustainable. And I like some of the young quarterbacks in next year's draft, but I will kind of die on this hill that I don't know if any of them can elevate the current offensive situation. And I know they have a ton of draft capital and there's free agency, but, there's going to be guys leaving that room and you're adding and, could it be a flip a switch and everything changes and it's all better? Maybe. I've seen that happen, but it hasn't happened here much. And outside of, when the Browns drafted Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall, I think things were different then. And there were, pieces and veterans around Baker that allowed him to be successful. And obviously, I don't want to dwell on the past too much, but getting back to the original question, yeah, I think Shedeur showed me enough that I think if the right people are around him and they continue to solidify the offense and build, that he can have success. I said that I thought.
And just like that, nothing has changed. If they solidify the offense, they think Shedeursanders can be that guy. Even one of their very own, Joe Thomas, their very own Hall of Famer, believes the same thing.
Shedeur coming into the 2026 season, he'll be the guy and build around him and see what he can do.
I still want to see 3 more games before I'm going to stamp my name on any of that stuff. But I definitely think that he's doing a great job right now. I think he's shown an ability to make plays like he did in college at the NFL level. He's got to reduce his mistakes that he's making, but he's shown great growth. And I do feel like if he plays well to finish the season, he definitely probably should be the guy going into the draft so they can build around him and just find out exactly who you have right here at this position. Of course, if they go through the draft and they evaluate these rookies and they think like one guy is the next Peyton Manning, generational talent, well, then you got to make a different decision. But if they don't really wholeheartedly believe in somebody and Shedeur hasn't completely snatched the job in these last 3 games, then I think you got a little bit of a tougher decision, but I think what is best for the Browns, hey, let's use those 2 first-round draft choices on a tackle and a receiver and see what you got with Shedeur, because I think that is the best case scenario. You got a 5th-round pick who becomes your starting quarterback. He's under a very tightly cost-controlled contract, and you've added weapons around him to build and try to lean into that great defense that you have.
Just
if you
like
can't
that,
balance on one foot for 30 seconds.
just like that, your Hall of Famer concurs. Just build around Shedeur. There's no need to try to be dramatic or be spectacular. Build your football team. Stop trying to find Joe Willie Namath, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Tom Brady, Tony Romo. No, not Tony, my bad. That's the Cowboy fan coming out of me. Not Tony Romo. But quit trying to find that 1 in a million quarterback. You might already have him. You might have already had them. But you got to build a team around them. You have to do what the Philadelphia Eagles did for Jalen Hurts. You have to do what Chicago has done for their quarterback. Do what Buffalo has done for theirs. Everybody built around what they had. Cleveland, you have to build around your quarterback. Don't be stupid. Stop trying to reach. Deshaun Watson is there. You don't need to go get a veteran. What you need to do is get rid of your coach, because there is something to be said about your coach. When he has good quarterbacks, they never perform well. You had Baker Mayfield. When he got there, you had Baker Mayfield. That was a structured playoff team. That was a structured playoff team. And it all went downhill. You traded for Deshaun Watson, who was an excellent quarterback until he got to Cleveland. Now you have Shedeur. Fire your quarterback and build you a football team. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all hit me up, because my phone is going crazy right now. I still got family members hitting me up. Still got a lot of stuff going on. So y'all let me know. Enjoy your holiday. Don't forget Sunday. We got this live stream going down. You figured me, so you better be in there. But I'm going to holler at y'all. Y'all be easy. Leave your comments in the comment section. We'll talk about it some more. I'm out of here. Y'all be easy. Peace out.